there's no doubt that India is a big country and travelling is often a drain on time and money both. In fact, it's often difficult and even dangerous to travel to work. The roads are congested, trains are overcrowded. In Mumbai alone, hundreds and thousands of passengers struggle to get to work every morning. They have no option but to get on board jam-packed Mumbai local trains. Now imagine you have to travel from one state to another. The very thought of travelling the distance by road or train could make the best of us jittery. Unless, of course, you have access to money and can afford an aeroplane ticket. The Government of India understands this, which is why the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has in his budget speech promised to make air travel cheaper. In fact, the Finance Minister said those who wear flip-flops will soon be able to board an aeroplane.
सरकार की इस पहल से हवाई चप्पल पहनने वाले नागरिक भी अब हवाई जहाज की यात्रा
In fact, the government says it will expand airport capacity to 1 billion trips a year. The government has even named this scheme Udan, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, which basically roughly translates into something like making flying affordable for the common citizen. But what if we tell you that flying can be a risky affair too? Maybe as risky as using road transport or even a Mumbai local, or even worse. Only that the lurking danger is invisible, like potholes or teeming crowds are. And that there's nothing you can do if something goes wrong. So for many of us who do fly in India, Indigo and Go Air might be carriers of choice. After all, ticket prices are as reasonable as they can get in India, and facilities offered are more or less decent. But just today, Indigo had to cancel 47 flights. Go Air cancelled 18. Indigo's cancelled flights affected passengers travelling from major Indian cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad and Bangalore. But it wasn't just these metropolises alone. Patna, Srinagar, Bhubaneswar, Amritsar, Srinagar, Guwahati and some others were also affected. Passengers were offered a full refund or the option to choose another flight. In its statement, Indigo said, and I quote, Indigo has cancelled certain flights due to the grounding of our aircraft, further to the DGCA directions which have been issued in the interest of safety, end quote. At the centre of the story is a diktat from the Directorate General of Civil Aviation or DGCA. The body asked Indigo and Go Air to ground 11 aircraft in all. All of them are A320neo jets operating with faulty Pratt & Whitney 1100 engines. Now, the decision came on the back of 3 incidents of mid-air engine failure reported in just a fortnight. So, launched in December 2010, A320neo planes of the Airbus family promised low fuel consumption, almost 900 kilometers of extra travel and greater load carrying capacity. But this twin-engine model has been a cause of worry for Indian Airlines. The dual-engine Pratt & Whitney turbines are supposed to be high-tech for their ability to run on a single engine when the other has failed. But the Indian regulatory body has now decided to ground the flights with PW100 engines. The DGCA cracked the whip after an Indigo flight bound for Lucknow returned to Ahmedabad within 40 minutes of it becoming airborne due to mid-engine air failure just yesterday. The DGCA deemed it unfit to let planes with faulty engines fly the Indian airspace. The reason for worry here is the fact that Indigo carries almost 40% of domestic flyers, while Go Air carries almost 10% of domestic passengers, which means that the lives of thousands of passengers were put at risk in the intervening period. In the past 3 decades, engine failures have been a rare occurrence, with only about 25 such incidents reported a year globally. But in Indigo's flights in the last 18 months, engine failures took place every once a week. That's the average we're talking about. Imagine one turbulent flight every week with passengers completely unaware of what's going on behind the scenes. Incidents that went unchecked for almost a period of 2 years. If reports are to be believed, Indigo has had to replace the Pratt & Whitney engines of 32 of its carriers. There have been 69 instances between May 2016 and November last year. So if the issue was plaguing the aviation industry for almost 2 years now, what have the authorities been doing? Why were the lives of thousands of passengers put at risk? Why weren't the carriers with faulty engines grounded earlier on? Why wasn't a probe ordered in the matter? And why wasn't it deemed fit to seek a reply from the foreign firm manufacturing these engines. Lots of big questions, but at the end of the day, the people getting affected by all of this are you and me. Joining me this evening to talk more about the implications of what has happened is Sanat Kaul, the chairman of the International Foundation for Aviation, Aerospace and Development, and of course, a former Joint Secretary of Civil Aviation Ministry of India. Also with me on the broadcast is Sudhakar Reddy, founder and national president, Air Passengers Association of India. He's joining us from New Delhi. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you both for speaking with us. Mr. Reddy, if I can come to you first, how worried do you think passengers in India need to be on the backs of these reports?
No, really not. I don't think we should scare the passengers, because the government has acted very swiftly and grounded 11 of these new aircrafts, and that is the right thing to do. And with this, I am certain that there will be no such incidents, because Indigo's fleet is completely full of A320s CEO, and only NEO, there are only about 30 odd aircraft of NEO, out of which 8 have been grounded, and in Go Air 3 have been grounded. I don't think passengers should be worried about their travel from now on.
All right, you're saying the government acted swiftly, sir, but in a period of 18 months, if Indigo was averaging one instance of a mid-air engine failure every week, don't you think that's a matter of concern and should have raised hackles within the DGCA a lot earlier?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And there were instances where Indigo itself had grounded the aircraft. I have seen it myself in Delhi airport about 8-9 months ago. There were 6 of them grounded by the airline itself due to engine failures, and they were subsequently rectified. So there has been an ongoing process over the last year and a half with these Pratt & Whitney engines.
All right. The attempt, of course, going by what the finance minister said very recently in his budget speech, is to make air travel more accessible to more people in this country. But do you think there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the infrastructure before tickets are becoming cheaper and cheaper, and flying by air is becoming more accessible to all?
Yeah, certainly the infrastructure has to be created. New airport, nearly 56 new airports are being set up, which have all got airfields or they are greenfield airports in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So to make the UDAN scheme, which is our Prime Minister's pet project, a success, this is absolutely necessary, not only in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We also need infrastructure to be improved in the major metros like Chennai, Calcutta, Mumbai and Delhi. And I'm happy to note that there are plans to expand. Navi Mumbai has already been, the groundbreaking ceremony has taken place, and near Delhi one more location has been identified. And only 2 places which are lagging behind are Chennai and Calcutta. So with the kind of infrastructure that's required to double the capacity in terms of passenger growth, because we are growing at a CAGR of 20%, this kind of growth is unseen anywhere in the world. And for this, we need to create the right infrastructure,
sure,
which is also, with safety and, other parameters in place.
Absolutely. I'll request you to stay on with me, Mr. Reddy. What I'm gauging from you, of course, is that without the risk of sounding alarmist about these incidents, it has to be considered that these are issues that need to be plugged as we make airfare, or rather flying, more accessible to more people. Sanat Kaul, chairman of the International Foundation for Aviation, Aerospace and Development, and of course a former Joint Secretary for the Civil Aviation Ministry, is joining me on the broadcast as well. Mr. Kaul, good evening. Thank you for speaking speaking with us here at WION. I just want to readdress that question to you as well. I don't mean to alarm passengers who are perhaps flying, later tonight or tomorrow. But is the fact that, over an 18-month period, Indigo has reported engine failure averaging at least once a week. Isn't that a matter of concern, sir?
Yes, I would say that it's a matter of deep concern, because with the growth of about 20% in domestic and a very high growth in international, with an infrastructure and air traffic management lagging behind, it is certainly a matter of deep concern. And I think DGCA has to be more proactive, because even one unfortunate incident can damage a whole lot of things. So therefore, I think it is time for DGCA to be more proactive. The fact that he has taken the stand to down the aircraft with the Neo PW1100 aircraft is good, but it's coming a little late. It has to be done immediately, see what is going wrong, and rectify it within a time period. It's extremely important that timely action is taken, because India was earlier downgraded by both FAA and ICAO for safety. And therefore, this is a safety issue, and therefore, again, we need to comply, we need to take proactive action. We cannot afford an opportunity which will lead to a disaster. Therefore, it is very, very necessary at this stage for DGCA to become very proactive and wake up.
Right, sir. And I just want to add to this that, on February 9th itself, the European Civil Aviation Regulator had red flagged the very same airline engine that we're talking about, the PW1100, manufactured mid-2017 onwards. So this has happened at the start of February, action being taken by the DGCA in India, at least at the start of March. But Mr. Kaul, one follow-up question for you. We're talking about, making travel by air more accessible, increasing the number of airports in this country, and creating infrastructure. But do you feel sometimes that quality perhaps is being overlooked in this rush to make adjustments as far as the quantity of airports and the quantity of flights being offered is being talked about?
It's a very difficult question to answer, because I hope the quality is not being compromised. That's all I can say, because DGCA is supposed to look after the quality. He is the safety regulator. The airlines are supposed to do it for themselves, but if they miss out, it is necessary and important for DGCA to take corrective action. I hope they're doing it. What has happened with the PW1100 engines has happened timely, but maybe should have happened earlier.
Fair enough. Mr. Reddy, there's also this point about self-regulation. Airlines also have to demonstrate responsibility. You can't just wait for a watchdog to come along and tell you that you're doing the wrong thing. Do you think that airlines need to be a bit more accountable as well in terms of, the quality of a flying experience that they're offering to passengers? Or do you think that's already a mechanism that's in place?
No, that is a mechanism that's already in place. As I mentioned, Indigo itself had grounded 6 of their aircrafts more than 9 months ago, and I'm a personal witness to it. And having done that, that shows that the airline is concerned. But it is unfortunate that they have had incidents in the recent past, and it's the right decision that the regulator has taken to ground these aircrafts.
So what happens next, sir? These 11 aircraft have been grounded. What sort of measures do these airlines need to take going ahead to make sure that these flights are, allowed to fly once again?
No, I'm certain that DGCA will carry out an inspection on all the other aircrafts with a similar engine, and ensure that corrective action is taken. because we have been told that Pratt & Whitney has found the defect and they have found a solution to rectify this defect on a permanent basis, because they have been doing a job which was not expected of such a reputed company like Pratt & Whitney. And now that they have found what was really wrong, we are hoping that this is a solution for the future and for the good of everyone.
All right, we'll leave it at that, gentlemen. Mr. Sanat Kaul and Mr. Sudhakar Reddy, I thank you both for taking out the time and speaking with us on an issue that is obviously very important.